Hi, this is Long Island Web TV's Community Forum, and my name is Raymond Williams. All right, today we have with us Mrs. Shelley Brazley. Mrs. Brazley is running for the Hempstead School Board here. She presently works with Ed Mangano, and she's actually a program director for the Minority Affairs. She has been called an audacious advocate for advancement. It has been said that she knows where all the bodies are buried in Hempstead. Now that doesn't mean that she knows where bodies are buried. What it means is that she knows where all the mistakes have been. She knows where the money has been misspent. She knows what's going on in the community. Hi, how are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
We are so glad to have you today. You know, we have been waiting for a long time to get you right here in front of this camera so that you can tell people exactly what it is that you plan to do for the Hempstead Community School Board.
Well, I'd like to run for the board and help establish goals and criteria. That would include the curriculum, that would include the budget, that would include the erosion of our tax base.
Yes.
That would include a curriculum for the children that's comprehensive and unified. There's so many things that we have to look at.
You said erosion of taxes. Why is there an erosion of taxes? What has happened to the tax money?
Well, in Hempstead in particular, it's the dynamics are a little different than most of the communities in Nassau County.
Yes.
And it seems like what's happened is we have an inordinate, no, it doesn't seem like, we have an inordinate amount of apartment buildings with pilots, payment in lieu of taxes.
Yes.
And so what we have is an erosion of our tax base. And basically what you have are apartment buildings, and it's close to 30 of them that don't pay taxes.
Wow.
And all of those apartment buildings have, many of them have children that come to the school system. The problem is the town and the county, when they award these abatements, they really need to put the money back into the community. All children, they all deserve the right to be educated. Absolutely. And to be educated properly. And so if we're going to concentrate them in Hempstead, that's fine. But please, let's be able to educate them.
Absolutely. You know, you come here and you don't come by yourself. You come with a large backing. There are a lot of people that are supporting you. There's an organization that's called DIVA, which is Democracy for Inspiring Voter Awareness. There's PUSH, which is People United to Save Hempstead. There's SITS, which is Sisters in the Struggle. Occupy Hempstead, Reverend Sarita McKnight, and many, many more people. These people are backing you. Why?
Well, all of the organizations that you stated are grassroots organizations. And they're people that are, you know, positioning themselves to evoke change.
Yes.
You know, and it's time. It's absolutely time. And so I have been a part of many different movements at different times. And so I have been the one that's selected to run for this particular office at this time. But it is time for a grassroots change.
Okay. You know, you're not new to Hempstead. Tell us about how long you've been in Hempstead, and tell us about your family and what's going on with your family.
Well, I've lived in Hempstead most of my life. You know, I grew up in Hempstead. We've lived there since I was very, very young. I went to preschool as well as elementary school, and I graduated from Hempstead High.
Wow.
And so when I got married, we moved to Chicago, and we stayed there a short time, probably about a year, and we moved back.
Probably after the winter, right?
Well, the winter was wicked. But, you know, there's just no place like New York.
There isn't.
So we moved back, and I had a store. When we left, I had a store, and so trying to manage it from Chicago was very difficult. And I think I came back to work things out in the store for the holiday season, and I just didn't go back. So we've been there ever since. I homeschooled my children because Hempstead School District is a struggling district, and I really was not going to give them the opportunity not to miseducate my children. I wasn't comfortable with that. And so I did homeschool my children. My daughter's first school experience was Hempstead Middle School, grade 6. And so that was very difficult for all of us. But I had a lifestyle change and I needed to go to work, and so the children had to go to school. So when we made it through. There are some fabulous educators in Hempstead. And honestly, I handpicked my children's teachers. But I don't think that parents should have to do that for their children to get a decent education.
Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think that the school system is most in need of?
Everything is helter-skelter. I would like to see a plan, and goals. An immediate plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan. When you drive through Hempstead, when you go past the elementary schools, they look like trailer parks. There's all kinds of portables. We need a plan. How are we going to get rid of those portables? What are we going to do?
Yes.
And so I don't understand. I've never seen any large corporation or anything that doesn't have a plan. So it's a little difficult to come out of a situation if you don't have any goals.
Well, let me ask you another question. And is knowledge of what's wrong, is that enough to fix it, or how can you help them?
No, knowledge of what's wrong is not enough. Our community, we need a lot of training.
Yes.
We need people to be aware of what's going on. Training will help to teach us and lead us in the right directions, to evoke change. You know what I mean? There are some very knowledgeable people that we can call on. The Hempstead alumni list is phenomenal. The former governor of New York is a graduate of Hempstead High, David Patterson, and there are so many people that I went to school with or that went through Hempstead. We definitely can evoke change. You know what I mean? Yes. We have to get help. We have to call on those that we know can help us. And I really do look forward.
With change comes accountability. Can you actually bring accountability to the school board?
Well, I think that's the only way we're going to straighten things out. We have to make people accountable. We have to make it. No one on the planet has a job where they're not held responsible for their job description.
Yes.
The Hempstead is the only place that I've ever seen where you can get paid in abundance of $200,000 a year and not be responsible for anything in your job description. It's criminal to me, and so we do. I have enough managerial skills that I can help to, guide that a little bit myself,
Tell us about your managerial skills.
Well, I took an early retirement from the airline when I was pregnant with my first child. But I was in the airline industry for 10 years. I worked in many capacities. Most of it, I was a flight attendant, but I took a lot of assignments outside of that job. So I did personnel, I did recruiting for the airline and interviewing. I also sat on some advisory boards, with the flight attendants and the pilots. I did training, and that's why I know training is so important. When I was a flight attendant, your initial training is about 6 to 8 weeks, and it's very intense. But twice a year, you have recurrent training. And in that recurrent training, you're studying plane crashes, because it's your job as a flight attendant. They make it seem glamorous, but it's your job. You're there for emergencies, and should you have to evacuate an aircraft. But twice a year, you went through training, and so you never have enough training. Okay, once I left the airline industry, I had an African bookstore. Well, actually, my husband had an African bookstore, and after I had the baby, I was going crazy at home, and so my daughter and I would go to the store, And so the store evolved into a bookstore art gallery, which was fabulous. And we did all kinds of things in the bookstore art gallery. You know, we had art signings, book signings. We offered free Swahili classes to children in the community.
Okay.
We had history circles, you know, would come in and different professors would come in and teach. I mean, we had great things. And then, I told you I homeschooled my children. So when my son became school age, because the two girls I homeschooled in the back of the store while I ran the store. But when my son became school age, it was just really too much to try to homeschool all three of them and run the store. So I had to make a decision, close the store or send my children to school.
Wow.
So we closed the store. I was home about 6 months, and the girls loved dance, and we couldn't really find a school in the community that I was happy with.
Okay.
And I wanted them to be in a culturally sound program, our culture.
Yes.
And so we started a dance school. I don't dance at all. I know very little about dance, but I knew what I wanted for my children.
Yes.
So I hired one sister in particular, Renee Bradley Jinks. She was phenomenal. She was our first creative director, and she really helped me hire the other teachers, and really had a really good program. We started with 5 students, and at the end of the first year we had about 80, and then the second year we had like 120, and it was all word of mouth. It really was, but we had a phenomenal program. So we did that for 12 years, and yeah, 12 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Tell me about your job as program director for community affairs.
Okay, I work in the Office of Minority Affairs, and I kind of do oversight, and I work for minority and women business. I work with minority and women-owned businesses and disadvantaged businesses. And you know, the whole point of my job is to ensure that the county levels the playing field for minority and women-owned businesses, so that a percentage of the monies that are spent in the county, we would like to see percentages of those spent with minority and women-owned businesses. So we do workshops, and we do a lot of things to make those businesses prepared, because in many cases our paperwork may not be in order. And you know, when you do business with the government, everything has to be in order. So I kind of give oversight and work with that program.
You know, I've seen a clip on YouTube of you speaking with the school board, and I saw you give it to them. You know, I thought to myself, I said, you know, if this lady is fighting for the community like that, imagine what would happen if she actually gets on that school board. You know, anybody that's looking at YouTube, you know, you pull up Shelley Brazley and take a look at that clip and watch her fight with that school board. All right, and my point is that if you can fight with them like that as a citizen, imagine how much you can get accomplished if you're actually on that school board.
Well, my goal, honestly, wasn't to fight with them. My goal was to get some answers.
Well, when I say fight, you weren't disrespectful. Okay. You were persistent. Okay, you were persistent. You wanted your questions answered, and that's what it's all about. You know, too many people, they want to go out of character, but not you. You were persistent. You wanted to get your answers, and you made them answer you.
Well, they still didn't really answer me, but we did our best. They probably answered as best as they could, but that's the bottom line. That's the point. We need people that will do their jobs, and if they're doing their jobs, answering questions won't be so difficult.
That's right.
You know, and so really, that's what I want to see happen. I just want people. I think that if our children are flourishing, if our children are learning, if we're meeting them where they are, if we're coming up with programs that are innovative and make children excited about learning, then you are worth every penny plus some that you're making.
Wow.
But if our children, our dropout rate is about 45% in Hempstead.
Really?
Children cannot read, they're not performing well. You know, then I don't get it. I don't understand the salaries. I don't understand the cars, you know, and all the benefits that go with it. You know, I mean, and we want to blame everybody. We want to blame the aides, we want to blame the teachers, we want to blame the parents, we want to blame the children. It's ineffective leadership. It's ineffective leadership. And if you're getting paid, you know, to be a leader,
yes,
then I expect you to be a leader.
And you're going to give it to them, aren't you?
I want to hold people accountable.
And that's good. My question for you is, how can we help? How do we get in touch with you? What are your websites? Tell the audience.
Okay. Our website is I guess it's the www thing, right? electshelleybrazley.com. And if you want to send me an email, it's Shelley, Shelley, and Brazley is Brazley. Okay, so my email address is Shelley@electshelleybrazley.com.
Okay, so we have your website and how to get in touch with you. Is there a fundraiser or something coming up that you wanted to talk about? And we also need to know, when is the vote going to be? And we also know that it's going to be vote row A all the way.
All the way.
But we want to know when it is. When is it?
Okay, I'm glad you asked all of that. We're going to have a gospel get out the vote rally the night before the election. That's Monday, May 14th at Nakasaki. So please come on out and support that effort. We really could use your assistance there. The tickets are only $20 and it's at Nakasaki. Now, on the 15th, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., the polls are open and you will be voting at ABGS Middle School in Hempstead. Okay? I am row A. It's row A all the way. Okay? Please vote for Shelley Brazley, row A, on May 15th at ABGS Middle School. Did I answer all your questions?
Yes, you did. As a matter of fact, let me also encourage you to support this candidate. I support this candidate. All right, I believe that she's a strong candidate. I believe that she's not only truthful, but she's sincere in everything that she's saying. So what you need to do is you need to support her. You need to volunteer if you can. All right, you have a telephone number where we can call you?
We do. For the tickets for the fundraiser, and if you want to volunteer and anything like that, it's 516-410-6016.
Say it again.
516-410-6016.
That's Shelley Brazley for the school board, for the Hempstead school board, and you want to vote row A all the way.
Yes, and if you want to see not just me, but all the candidates that you have to select from, there are 2 available seats, as long as you vote for me. There is the NAACP in Hempstead is having a forum on May 10th, 7 o'clock at Kennedy Park. So come out and you'll get an opportunity to see there are 5 people running for those 2 seats.
We thank you so much once again.
Thank
This is
you.
Long Island Web TV Community Forum, and again, my name is Raymond Williams, and we have Shelley Brazley here, and we thank you so much for this opportunity just to speak to you about what you plan on doing for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to get out the vote, get out the vote, get out the vote. May 15th for Shelley Brazley.